Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.
Hello there. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Genius. I am your host, Alex Baer. I always need to get into the middle here. I'm always to the right or the left. It's all about centering yourself, literally and physically. So our show is really awesome because we bring on really great guests that have really shaken up the industry with new innovation and great new products that people have never seen before, creating new trends, new categories, subcategories. And this gentleman is under that umbrella. We also bring on investors, we bring on advisors, consultants, and CPG. But starting at episode 100, we're going to be bringing on people that are not only in CPG. So get ready for that. If you want to listen to 15 Minutes of Genius without seeing me, which I don't blame you, you can go on Apple Podcast or you can go on Spotify as well. And if you do want to see me, we're on LinkedIn under my name and under Genius Juice and also under YouTube. So big plug to Mark Nicholas, Mark N at ManhattanBeachStudios.net. He's the man. The fist pump right there. He's got it. I got this. So a lot of passion going on. Obviously, great set, great audio and video. Make sure to reach out to him if you want a podcast, if you want audio, video, pictures of your product. He has a full studio here at ManhattanBeachStudios.net. So, all right, let's get into our guest, Ben Witte. He is the founder and CEO of Recess, which, if you're definitely on the coast, you've definitely seen this product. They're everywhere, and also they're online. So a little bit about the company Recess. So they created Recess to bring calm and balance to an overstressed generation. That's an understatement. From functional beverages to digital experiences, we make things that help people feel calm, cool, collected, despite the stressful world around them. In business lingo, you might call us a relaxation platform. Ben, how's it going, my man?
It's great. Thanks for having me on. Been a big fan of your kind of series for a while. I'm excited to speak with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same right back at you as we talked about offline. You're pretty much the first, I know there's more than just CBD here, but the first brand, first founder to be on our show that created a CBD type product. So let's start right away. I think the big elephant in the room that I really want to get into, because you're an expert, you've done a lot of research being in this industry. CBD was very hot 2-3 years ago. It was like a cannonball. It was everything, Expo West. There was CBD gummies, CBD this, still kind of growing, right? There's still a growth trajectory there. What is happening now in the industry with CBD, hemp-derived extract? And also, you guys have another line, which also is outside of CBD. So I just want to hear more from you, just what's going on in the industry, in the category. Is CBD going to grow back to where it was? Tell us more.
Great. So I'll kind of start with maybe the origin of Recess, because the regulation around CBD was an important element, and talk about how I thought about the opportunities. So back in kind of early 2017, I was in this period of my life and career where I was kind of exploring starting a company. I knew I wanted to start a consumer brand or experience of some kind. And I was living in New York City, and this was actually a year after Trump got elected. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know anything about the future other than that it's going to be crazy. And that was kind of the original, I think, inspiration for the idea of an antidote to modern times. And then, a few months later, I started to see CBD oil kind of bubbling up on the periphery in kind of natural food stores. And it really kind of intrigued me because, to me, what CBD represented was the arrival of a new consumer need state focused on kind of stress relief, calm and balance, and relaxation. Essentially, I've always thought about CBD as a compound, akin to caffeine, which kind of stimulates you, or a compound, similar to alcohol, which intoxicates you. They all kind of fundamentally deliver a feeling, but the feeling that CBD delivered was, again, this kind of even keeledness, right? I think it was like in the middle of those two to a degree. And I had this thesis that CBD and other functional ingredients would ultimately kind of serve as the base of this new category in the beverage and kind of supplement and beyond industry, focused on kind of relaxation. And so I started to go deep on CBD, and what you immediately realized back then was that effectively CBD, which is primarily extracted from hemp, was regulated, was essentially still a controlled substance, right? Basically, hemp and marijuana were regulated as the same plant, when in reality they are cousins within the cannabis family. And I was like, well, I'm not going to start a business selling a controlled substance indefinitely. There would need to be kind of a path forward for CBD to ultimately become an approved kind of food and supplement ingredient. And I heard about a piece of legislation called the Hemp Farming Act that was being introduced by Mitch McConnell, who is the kind of Republican Senate Majority Leader from Kentucky. And I was like, why is Mitch McConnell introducing a bill about a part of cannabis? And fundamentally, what that bill did was separate the definitions of hemp versus marijuana, and removed CBD, which is an extract from hemp, from the controlled substance list, which essentially shifted the regulation from the DEA to the FDA, and then also legalized the cultivation of hemp. And so this bill passed. So I basically bet that this bill would pass, and that by doing that, that would kind of begin this process for CBD to ultimately become, a very mainstream ingredient.
What year was that, Ben, when the farming bill and all that passed to go to the FDA?
Yeah, that was December 2018.
Okay.
And we launched in late October 2018. So the timing was very good for us, right?
Yes.
Basically timing the introduction of recess to the release of the passage of the Hemp Farming Act. But the Hemp Farming Act was very misunderstood. I think basically most of the market thought that this piece of legislation was like the end of the road, when it was really the beginning of the road, right? It really began the process for the FDA to ultimately determine how the compound would be regulated within our food and supplement system. And we are still going through that process. And so when you talk about this big kind of hype cycle that's happened, I think all of the frenzy around CBD occurred in basically 2019. But I think what people quickly realize is that CBD is operating in a constrained addressable market. Essentially, it's sold in kind of independent accounts in natural food stores, and on D2C. But it's not, ingestible CBD is effectively not carried in any national mainstream retailers. It should not be sold on Amazon. And so, I think that just made, and then there's all these other challenges that came with the lack of regulatory clarity. It was very hard to find manufacturing, very hard to find financing, right? Like, if you're an investor, are you going to invest in just a straight CBD company? If so, they better have a plan, to navigate that. Hard on, payment processing, running Facebook and Google ads. So essentially what happened was you had this massive, launch of all these CBD brands, and then most of them, I think, found the reality, which is it's a very tricky space to navigate. And so I'll stop there and talk more about kind of Recess's strategy, because again, CBD is only one component of our current line. And in some ways, I look at the regulatory issues that we've had to navigate over the past few years as a true blessing in disguise. I actually look at this, when the Recess story is told, I think this will be a positive thing that we've had to go through, not a negative thing.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So my next question is, because a lot of people that are watching this episode, right, I'm just kind of thinking of the people watching it, are going to be like, is CBD going to get back to where it was? Is it going to be popular again? I mean, like, it's already semi-popular, but is the FDA eventually going to let a CBD or hemp-derived extract product go into Whole Foods, go into Target, go into mainstream stores? Is that ever, do you think that's going to happen the next couple of years, or what's your foresight on that?
Absolutely. It's like, I would say it's a question of when, not if, at this point, and that kind of everyone recognizes that the current situation is counter to everyone's interests, most importantly, consumers, and a consumer safety issue. Effectively, right now, you have, hundreds or thousands of CBD brands on tens of thousands of retail shelves that are unregulated because there's no regulations to enforce. And so companies like ours, invest significant resources in effectively self-regulating ourselves and actually working with regulators behind the scenes. But a lot of companies are taking shortcuts, and I think that puts consumers at risk. And so what you're seeing is basically the states get ahead of the FDA and pass state bills that regulate the market on a state level. And you're seeing Congress get very engaged here to direct the FDA to act. And so there's already been 2 bills introduced this year. I expect a lot to happen in Congress this fall. And so I'm very optimistic that ultimately it's going to become an approved additive in beverages, food, and supplements and beyond. And I think that's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I share that sentiment with you, Ben, for sure. Like, it's not if, it's really when. One other small question, just to touch on what you just said. You said that states are kind of pushing through some regulatory acts and things like that. Are states allowed at all to offer this, or does it have to be totally federally, allowed? Like, can California say, we want to offer it, even if the rest of the country does not? Or how does that work legally?
Yes, states have the ability to put together a program which regulates the whole hemp industry in its state, from kind of the farming side to the extraction and cultivation to the brands, the product side. And New York's have announced that a bill that's going into effect in the fall, which sets a dosage limit of 25 milligrams per container for beverages as an example. It has requirements around testing and labeling, and so the states are absolutely going ahead of the FDA because they recognize that the current situation is counter to everybody's interests.
Exactly. You said that a couple times, like counter to their interests. And one thing, not to turn this into politically correct with Bill Maher or something like, or politically incorrect with Bill Maher, that there are far worse things that are on the market that have been approved federally by the FDA, things that are hurting people, killing people. Let's talk about cigarettes. Let's talk about pharmaceuticals, all these things. Yet they're not passing something which is relatively harmless, right? And something that actually benefits the human body, because all it is just it's a derived oil from a plant called hemp, which is not marijuana. It's the same family, but a different plant. That just upsets me, right? To be totally honest, like, it pisses me off that there's foods on the shelf that kill people or hurt their health, yet they're not allowing CBD right now, which is mostly, or if all, beneficial to a person. It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, look, I actually think it goes to your, that question you alluded to around how big it's going to get. I think the FDA knows how big CBD is going to get. And I think I look at CBD as the caffeine of the 21st century, essentially, right? Instead, it just delivers a different type of effect. Instead of stimulation, it's essentially delivering kind of relaxation. And I think that's a universal value proposition. And I think once the FDA clarity comes, I can assure you that literally every big CPG company across every single category, from beverage to food to supplements to personal care to pet, is working on things here. And so I think what you're going to see is just this major catalyst, because, again, it's about what CBD can deliver, the feeling that it can deliver. And to me, that's like unquestionable that that's going to grow in demand over the years to come. And, again, we can talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I myself, I've opened up about this on this show and other podcasts, that I've suffered from social anxiety for 25 years, 30 years. It's caused damage to my body, just my head, everything, heart, obviously it's recoverable, and I've worked on that and gotten a lot better, which is why I can do podcasts and, run Genius Juice. It took a lot of personal work of meditation, exercise, going to different seminars. But point is, I wish 15 years ago I had something like Recess, right, where I could just drink it and feel more relaxed and feel better. So I certainly hope federally this gets passed. I think these guys in Congress, they just need to take some CBD, relax, and pass it. So yeah. Let's get into your other product line here. We talked about it offline right before taping this. It's like about mood, maybe adaptogens. So tell us more about how you're diversifying, not away, but with more things than just CBD. Tell us more.
Yeah. So again, going back to like the origin of Recess and how we designed the company and our business plan and our brand, importantly, to me, again, what CBD and adaptogens represented was, the rise of consumer demand for products that reduce stress and help them relax. And I've always, again, rejected the premise that it's the CBD category. I always say, like, we don't call the energy drink category the caffeine category. We call it the energy category because it's fundamentally about, the solution, quote unquote, that the product delivers, not just the ingredients itself. And so that insight, I think, led to the brand architecture of Recess, where we were really focused on marketing the idea of taking a recess and the feeling of calm, cool, collected, not marketing, just the ingredients themselves, right? And so for the first, and we kind of launched the company in October 2018, and it became very clear to us that the idea of taking a recess, was connecting in a significant way. And that also that consumers really looked at recess as, they looked at it as just taking a recess. Like when I see, we get a huge amount of organic sharing in Instagram, and most of the time people are just referring to it as a recess, right? So the other thing we kind of observed was that there was a lot of kind of a number of different usage occasions during the day for consumers using recess. So a lot of people would use it in the morning to start their day calm. Many people would, drink it around lunchtime. A lot, core use cases in the afternoon as a substitute for your 2 o'clock coffee. I'd say the primary use case is in the evening as a substitute for alcohol, like your weeknight glass of wine. And a lot of people use it before bed. And so what I see here is this broad kind of category emerging of products that deliver different feelings at different moments throughout your day. And so the vision of Recess has always been to create, again, this platform of products. And so when we decided basically, earlier last year to kind of accelerate our vision of becoming a platform and create additional products, one of the ingredients I'd always had my eye on was magnesium. There's a brand called Calm magnesium powder, which is a ready-to-mix powder.
Take it all the time.
What I saw was I'm like, wait a second, consumers are using Calm for the exact same reason they're using Recess. Recess is CBD and adaptogens in a sparkling water. Calm is magnesium in a ready-to-mix powder. Let's go explore magnesium, and let's go explore ready-to-mix powders as a category that we could go extend the brand into. And so as I went deep on magnesium, I found it to be fascinating and very underappreciated. Magnesium, basically most Americans are magnesium deficient. The reason we're magnesium deficient is because the food we eat doesn't have as many kind of nutrients as it used to. Our increased kind of caffeine consumption leads to a reduction in our magnesium levels. Our increased stress leads to a reduction in our magnesium levels. And when you're magnesium deficient, you essentially can't produce as many neurotransmitters in your brain, such as dopamine and serotonin and melatonin, which regulate your stress, your mood, your sleep. And we identified this one form of magnesium called magnesium L-threonate, which is the only form that kind of crosses the blood-brain barrier and catalyzes the production of those neurotransmitters. And that form of magnesium serves as the base of our Recess mood line of both beverages and ready-to-mix powders. And so we launched that line, a few months ago in May, early May, I think. And it's doing fantastically well. And it serves a couple different purposes. It's really an incremental feeling that we've kind of created within the platform. This idea of kind of calm the mind and lift the mood versus like CBD for, many people is a little more around chill. And it's created, alternative formats. So a lot of people add the Recess Mood unflavored powder to their coffee or smoothie in the morning. A lot of people use this stick pack and keep it in their bag, keep it in their car, keep it in their purse, bring it on a flight. And so what we're really doing is creating all these different ways that consumers can take a Recess throughout their day. And then importantly, it also allows us to extend the brand into other channels where we can't access right now with our CBD line. So we started selling Recess Mood on Amazon. It's doing fantastically well. We're in many retailers that are averse to CBD right now. So we're entering those retailers with Mood, and then we'll bring in CBD behind it. And so it's a very, important strategic move for Recess. And I think also shows, what's possible with this brand, which is creating, a broad platform of products.
Wow. It's mind-blowingly impressive what you're talking about here and how your strategy, I think it's the right strategy to go into adaptogens, magnesium, following that with a CBD drink. And one thing that I mentioned before, when we were talking offline is the branding. You know, the branding is so on point with the name and really hitting that drum again, because that's what the best branding does. Hitting that drum, which is it's a recess, you're taking a recess, you're feeling relaxed. We have functional ingredients, which helps you take a recess in the middle of the day. It's brilliant. I mean, it is, I use the word genius because it is literally genius, not because of the show, but it is really genius. And the colors as well. I'm just a marketing guy. The colors on the can, kind of that bright but very calming effect that it has. Very, very well done, Ben. So kudos, man. You guys have done a great job in architecting the branding and even a better job with the formulations because people are, there's fans and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next segment here, which is called Taking a Recess with Rapid Fire Questions.
Rapid fire questions.
All right. So, bunch of questions. You'll have a bunch of answers. Ready to go?
All right, let's do it.
Cool. Or have you seen episodes before with the rapid fire? Because it's a kind of a newer concept.
I've caught a little bit of the last one, so I think I have a gist, the general gist of it.
Yeah, usually it's funny when we're interviewing someone. There's also someone on deck. Like, and Ben was on deck when Kelsey, our last guest, we were interviewing. So usually the one on deck, getting ready to go on the show, can see the last part, a snippet of the last part of the episode. So he going in, he has some of the questions already in his head. All right, so here we go. First question: NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
No strong opinion, but let's just say Backstreet Boys.
No strong opinion. I love it. All right, I would agree with you on that. First thing you do when you wake up? I think you said take recess, right?
Well, the first thing I drink in the morning, I'd still drink coffee in the morning, and I since we created our recess mood powder, I add our recess mood powder to it. So I like iced coffee, and I add recess mood powder to it, which kind of balances out, any of the jitters and creates a nice kind of feeling.
Exactly. So for those out there that like coffee, you don't have to drop your coffee. You take recess with coffee or right after it. So there you go. Movie you can watch an unlimited amount of times.
One of my favorite movies is this movie. Actually, it's called The Lives of Others. And it actually takes place in Germany during the Cold War. And I think it's just a great story. And I think makes you appreciate the freedoms that we have here.
Absolutely. It was about, they probably mentioned the Berlin Wall, the falling of the Berlin Wall. Yep. Powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
Song you can listen to an unlimited amount of times.
Oh, wow. I really love Steely Dan. They're one of my favorite bands. So kind of anything by them that feels like timeless. I think so much music from that era is timeless in a way. I think music today is not, even though I love, not a lot of music today, but doesn't feel as timeless. I think it's easier to get sick of.
Exactly. In that era, they could have really used CBD because they were smoking a lot of pot back then. So yeah, I put Doobie Brothers in that same kind of category as Steely Dan. Like awesome, timeless music. Favorite sport to watch?
I'd say basketball. I think basketball is of the major sports. I think basketball has the most kind of action going on, and I think it's the most enjoyable to watch on TV. And I like the pace. Absolutely.
Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet? Which one?
Definitely Zoom. I think Zoom's the best out of all of them.
Right there with you, brother. What is your spirit animal?
Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know. I'd say perhaps like the owl, because I would say I'm always seeking wisdom, right, of the world. And I like that, standing on the perch, kind of observing, trying to figure out what's happening and developing a perspective and a thesis about, how it all works.
I love it. We've never had anyone on the show that after picking the animal, they have a explanation which perfectly fits why they picked that animal. And well done. Well done. So, window seat or aisle seat on an airplane?
It depends. If I'm taking a red eye, I'll prefer a window seat because I like kind of leaning against the window, but typically the aisle.
Got it. Peanut butter or almond butter or neither?
Well, it's funny. Growing up, I somehow convinced myself that I didn't like peanut butter, and it was like literally one of the only foods I wouldn't eat. But now I enjoy it. I tolerate it, and I I'll add it to smoothies often. And I also like almond butter, so probably almond butter. But it's funny how peanut butter is one of these things I despised for some reason growing up.
Yeah, well, we all have that. I mean, so you despise it growing up, and now you use it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Do I have that correct?
Yes.
I'm the same way with avocados and nuts. I freaking hated them as a kid, but now I love them. It's a mystery, I guess. So omnivore, flexitarian, vegetarian, or vegan?
Omnivore.
Cold weather or hot weather?
I live in LA, I would prefer a winter day to like a day above 100 degrees. So I'd actually prefer the cold.
Got it. You talked about basketball earlier. LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
I like LeBron, I have to say.
Got it. Oh, okay. He's good. I mean, he's awesome. But have you seen Last Dance at all?
Yes, I have. No, I certainly respect Michael and everything he did, but I think there's something to LeBron of how he's developed his career, his brand, his business interests. That's pretty cool.
True. Yeah, his like nonprofit side, donations, helping the youth, really putting himself out there more. Yeah, they both have their pros for sure, and I could see LeBron, he's very well-rounded in his life for sure, beyond outside of the court. Ginger or turmeric?
Ginger.
And last but definitely not least, favorite food or drink if you're stuck on a deserted island and you cannot say Genius Juice, you cannot say Recess?
I think if I had to eat one food, like stuck on a deserted island context, would be sushi. Like, I do think I can eat a lot of sushi and not get sick of it, and it feels like the right type of food in that context.
You're gonna laugh because I traveled to Thailand. We have one of our partners' production facilities out there, southwest Thailand, and I'm a very picky eater. So traveling abroad, I went to this resort in the middle of nowhere, like in a jungle, and they had a lot of meat and fruit and coconuts, and like literally from the trees. And they would just like every morning they would take the coconuts down, they would cut them. So I was having like fresh coconut every morning, and I was there for 10 days, and I actually got tired of coconuts. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening, but I don't want to eat or drink that coconut. So goes to show you, no matter how much you love something, I don't know. For me, I actually got tired of it. But anyway, the glorious story, right, of me not liking coconut after 10 days. All right, so that is Rapid Fire Questions with Ben Witte. What is that? CEO, founder of Recess, super fast-growing adaptogen CBD brand, awesome products, awesome branding, very, very well thought out. Your strategy, I am just super impressed. You're definitely by far. How do I put this without offending other guests on our show? By far, you're very intelligent. Other people are very smart, but I think you're even a level above that with your strategy and how you grew your brand. So, congrats, man, on everything.
I appreciate it. Good to be on the show with you.
Absolutely. All right. So that is episode 88. Ben Witte, CEO, founder, Recess. Make sure to find it at a store near you. They have their store locator. Make sure to go to their website. We'll have it posted right below in comments. Another big plug to Mark Nicholas, Mark N. at ManhattanBeachStudios.net. He does cool stuff here. Manhattan Beach Studios, located in Manhattan Beach. I can get more redundant if you want, but I won't. Make sure to reach out to him if you want to start your own podcast, if you want to do audio, video, product pictures. He does it all. He's amazing. There's a full studio here, which you can't even see, but it's awesome. We got to get another camera here, Mark, that shows your studio because it's really incredible here. So, again, episode 88 in the books. And one last thing, stay Recess and genius, my friends.
Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.